Hey Ryan, congrats on Free Guy being like the most entertaining movie I've seen in years, man.
Oh, thank you, Brandon. I appreciate it. It's nice to see you.
It's good to see you, man. Congrats. Dude, I want to hear, I know you guys have been asked time and time again about what video game you'd want to live in. If you had to have Guy's existence and being trapped in a video game, what would be the worst video game to be trapped inside of?
What would be the worst video game to? I don't. I mean, being an NPC in anything like Fortnite or Grand Theft Auto or something like that, that's gotta be tough. I mean, your day is just like a religious kind of fervent experience of being run over, stabbed, shot, blown up, punched in the face over and over and over again. I don't think I would enjoy that. Although it's not too dissimilar to having three daughters, 6 and under. I am kicked, punched. There is a stabbing attempt at least once a day. So yeah.
Yeah, can't relate to the kid train yet, but props to you for balancing all that with making this film. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, I want to hear about making Dude because Shawn explained kind of the dots and stuff. We put your face on like this untattooed Dwayne Johnson body. How did that come to be?
It really came to be just Shawn and I sitting in my apartment in New York and going, we need something for Guy to fight, like to physically fight against. Because the enemy in the real world is Taika Waititi's character of Antoine, and we're never gonna face off. So we have to find some kind of anthropomorphized version of Taika's character to fight. And that's where we came up with Dude, which would just be an upgraded version of my character. And how do we upgrade him? Well, we give him bright white chiclet teeth. You give him about an extra 180 pounds of muscle on top of what I would already have. So the guy weighs 300 plus pounds. He's 6'7". He's tan. He's gorgeous. He's got his frosted, highlighted hair, and that's our guy that's going to come into the game to just completely, kick the ever-loving shit out of my character Guy. And we loved this concept and this idea as soon as it kind of came about. So from then on, it was just sort of the fun part of just manifesting the reality of it.
Oh, you guys knocked it out. That was a super fun finale there. Shawn explained to me how like the Disney elements of the film came to be involved. I'd love to hear, did you guys ever consider, of all the things you did use, incorporating your boy Deadpool at all?
Not really. I mean, Deadpool for me is a kind of like anxiety-inducing tightrope walk that I always think when I've got Deadpool just right, at least I'm speaking from experience from Deadpool 1 and 2, that I need to make it 30 to 40% better than it already is, even if I'm at that moment where okay, this is perfect, this moment. Then I stop and I go, okay, now this has to be 30% better than what it already is. And it's a stressful thing to get right, or at least right as far as I'm concerned. So no, I never really thought of it, but I did love the idea of playing with Deadpool and Korg in some of the marketing materials, given the fact that Taika and I are in the movie. So I kind of got to scratch that itch inevitably anyway. So.
Hell yeah, that was hilarious, man. And do you think, would you rather see that next anxiety roller coaster be in Deadpool 3 or in Deadpool joining a different character's movie now that you can be in that sandbox with the MCU?
I think both are pretty warranted. I think you're always got to zig when everyone's expecting you to zag when it comes to that character. So I think as long as Disney's open to doing some kind of pretty wildly divergent kind of or having some wildly divergent uses of Deadpool, then I'm all for it. I think it's great.
I dig it, man. Well, right now, can't wait for everybody to see Free Guy do one of the best movies of the year. Congrats.
Thank you so much. Really, really appreciate it. Always great to talk to you.
Hey, Jodie, how are you?
Hey, Brandon, how are you?
I'm
Look
great.
at you with your fancy background.
Thank you.
No one else had one of them.
Somebody, Ninja, who is in this movie, told me it's a little messy. He told me it's cluttered.
I like it. And the big Free Guy sign is thumbs up.
It is now a permanent fixture in the room. It's one of my favorite movies of the year. It's so good. This movie's so much fun.
Amazing.
Congrats on being a part of it. But let's talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
First of all, I know you've been asked, what video game would you most want to live in? I want to ask you to flip that. What would be the one game that you think would really be the most terrifying to have to live Guy's life in?
Oh my God. It's going to be Grand Theft Auto. I mean, I know my video game knowledge is very, very minimum. So you're going to get a lot of the same answers from me with these questions. But for me, Grand Theft Auto, I find so stressful. I don't know how people play that game and, after a long day at work and put their feet up and relax. So I think Grand Theft Auto would be pretty stressful.
Yeah, as a player, it's a little bit of chaotic stress relief, but to be subjected to it as a character, I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Listen, I love how you get to play two completely different characters basically in this movie with Molotov Girl and Millie. I love how you had to you had an accent, which was your real accent, and then dropped it for the Millie version, which was super fun. What was it like to have to create like two characters, one of which exists only in the game, and one of which goes between the game and the real world?
Yeah, it was great fun. I mean, it was a huge part of what attracted me to the project, you know, of having to really ensure that Molotov still had an essence of Millie, but she was very visually and physically very different. The accents were Shawn and Ryan's idea, and I was initially like, oh, I don't know, because you know, having done Killing Eve, there's a lot of like languages and accent changes. And I was like, I don't really want to be be that girl. But it made sense to me. You know, my brother has played video games like all his life of us growing up. And a lot of the time his characters were American and he's from Liverpool in the UK. So it made sense to me in, you know, in the story aspect.
Yeah, it worked. I liked it a lot. Have you ever found yourself? I know people go online and they create characters or personas under this guise of anonymity, and then sometimes they kind of meld with that a little bit in their real world. I would love to hear from you. Have you ever played a character in film or TV and you find yourself adopting traits of that character and finding them applying to Jodie?
Ooh, I don't know. I don't think so. I don't think I have. I mean, it could be said for playing characters, you know, like I'm sure when I'm Villanelle for 5 months of the year, there's probably something about her that creeps into my day-to-day psyche. On a very innocent level, I don't do awful things, but I'm sure something filters through. Yeah.
Right. I love it. I'm curious. You see my room here, big Marvel DC fan. I know you're a part of Star Wars, which is an absolute dream. That's so cool. Has there ever been like a Marvel or DC character or franchise you've been particularly attracted to and like just been a fan of or wanted to be a part of?
I'm not well versed in the Marvel world.
That's okay.
I'm like the worst actress for you to speak.
We can still be friends here. Listen, it's okay.
It's so bad. I mean, Ryan in Deadpool for me is like, for me, when I watched that, it didn't feel like any other Marvel DC film. I feel like he does in everything he is a part of. He makes it his own, and it felt very fresh and exciting and a little bit naughty and a little bit dangerous. Maybe you could get me in Deadpool.
Listen, if you ever need a marathon buddy, like I'm down to do all 23 movies. We can make it.
Get them all. Watch them all.
I love it. Well, listen, thank you so much for the time, Jodie. It's a pleasure to speak with you. Free Guy was amazing. Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Lil Raw, what's going on, man?
What's up, brother? How you doing, man?
I'm good, dude. Congratulations on being part of this movie. It is a fantastic film. Most fun I've had of the movies in years.
Oh wow, bro, that's a big compliment.
And I mean it, man. I had a blast, especially those final 45 minutes. You guys killed it. Listen, I know you guys are getting asked probably all day, all week, all year, what will be the best video game to live in? What will be a fun video game universe to exist in? I'm going to flip it. If you had to be Guy for a day and live in a video game world, what would be the worst video game to have to exist in?
Ooh, that's a great question. I mean, you know something? It's gonna sound crazy. Probably Double Dragon, man, because like just because the way Double Dragon, like we talk about old school Double Dragon, just walking one way, all the fights happening that way. I saw, and this I gotta give my boy some props. Comedian named Roy Wood Jr. has a bit about how so many innocent people getting beat up in Double Dragon because they was just in the way of what was going on. And I never thought about that, but it's so funny. So yes, if I'm going grocery shopping and all of a sudden two dudes just doing karate and knocking my bags down, that's scary.
I love it, man. Now, listen, I want to ask you, man. Ryan is a guy who he's known for his quick wit, his comedic timing and stuff. And listen, you can hang with the best of them. We know that. I love to hear when you two are acting opposite each other. I know there was a lot of improv involved. How much improv did you do? Did you guys get each other to crack pretty often?
You know, so this is what I love about Ryan. When you do have a gem and you say something right away, either cut he's laughing or he has to take a break, and he's just like, dude, that's so funny. That's so funny. And which I love about that too, because that dude is a huge star, and he doesn't have to do that or doesn't have to say anything like that. So like when Ryan's like laughing, like, dude, that was great, that was funny. And then I think we just weirdly had a good time playing friends. Like it was just easy to bounce off each other. I don't care if it's me snapping in his face, like, hey, what are you doing? Or we land across from each other talking about so what's the demon pop. Like it's just, I don't, it doesn't happen all the time where you just have that type of chemistry with somebody. But I think if when you're two both giving actors, right, and especially in a comedy, it's so much easier to bounce off each other.
Yeah, it comes through. You guys had a great chemistry together. I'm excited for one of your next projects. I've been following Matthew Cherry online for a long time, Academy Award-winning director doing his first feature. I want to hear about that, man, because it sounds like a heist movie. There's very little known yet. What was it like to work under Matthew for his first film?
Well, we haven't done it yet. We haven't shot it yet.
Okay.
We announced that we're doing it, but we're excited. We both from Chicago, right? And I have so much respect for Matthew Cherry. You know what I'm saying? Like from Chicago, more than an athlete, and that's what's fascinating. People forget that the brother played football. You know what I'm saying? Like, and it was good. So, like to just jump into this game, and he's just a good dude. Like I think, not like that, but I think it's gonna be really fun. Like me and Jermaine Fowler, one of my good friends too, that's attached to it. So this is gonna be a really funny movie. We actually, I hope y'all get tired of seeing me and Jermaine, but we in a couple things coming up that's from his mind.
Hey, Joe, thanks for taking the time to talk about Free Guy with me.
Of course, Brandon, what's going on? How you doing, man?
I'm good. I'm great now that I've seen this movie. This is hands down like one of the best movies I've seen this year. Like it's one of my favorites. It was so good.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it. Thank you.
I love it, dude. Going into a video game, that's quite a task. So I know you have been, I'm sure people have been asking you all day, all week, all year, what video game would you most want to live in if you had to live the life of Guy? I want to flip that and say, what do you think would be the actual worst game to be trapped inside of?
Grand Theft Auto. I think everyone can pretty much agree. That'd be horrible. Everything's going wrong. I mean, it kind of resembles Free City, sort of. I mean, it's just chaotic, But I mean, there are definitely a couple of games that you probably wouldn't want to be in. I think, what was that game called? Like BioShock. Well, maybe that would actually be really kind of cool, actually. But I'm not a big horror guy. And then also, you could drown. I don't know. There's many that you probably wouldn't want to be in. Harder to think of one that you would want to be in, I think, safely.
That's true. I mean, that lawless steampunk BioShock era sounds kind of terrifying.
Terrifying. I think so.
Your character, man, he goes in and puts himself into a different skin and costume, but is very much himself. But when a lot of people go into games or internet culture, they create a character and they create a persona. And it's your job as an actor to do that on different sets. I'm curious. I know sometimes for people playing games, they start to meld with their internet version of themselves. Has there ever been a role or something that you've played that you've ended up finding out, like you're taking parts of that character with you? It's becoming part of who you are.
Well, I think you kind of are like, that's a really great question, first of all. I think I always think that it's best when you bring a little bit of yourself into each of these any character that you're going to do, just because, I don't know, how else are you going to contextualize the script and their choices and stuff and make it feel real if you're not, on board with the character in some way. So yeah, I think there's a little chunk of me probably in all the things that I've gotten a chance to do.
That checks out, man. I love how the cast and crew of Stranger Things seems to be going out doing their own things, and in this case, sticking together. I think that's really cool, man. You and Shawn Levy working together. I do got to ask, with season 4 and maybe a season 5 coming to Stranger Things, dude, you've had like the coolest, like one of the most complete arcs of anybody on the show, starting in one way and landing a whole other way so far. Can you say anything about how that arc continues and what you want to see when this inevitably reaches a final destination?
Sure. I mean, I really can't say anything, but I don't also really know what the end game is. I've gotten little bits and pieces, but me and the brothers have spoken about specific ideas that would be really cool for the character. So once it all does come to a close, I have faith in those two guys and Shawn as well that they will do it right.
Does it give you a little bit of ease to come into a movie like Free Guy and have Shawn in your corner? And same question for Shawn. I mean, like he's directing. Do you guys feel like you took a lot of that trust from Stranger Things into Free Guy?
Certainly. But I will say I was very nervous to do this movie just because you're working with massive, talent. I mean, every single person that was in this movie I was a fan of and kind of anxious and you know, just like anybody else would be. You know, you meet these people that you've seen their work, but the other side of the coin is that everybody was so amazing and nice and collaborative on set. So, and that I don't think that happens every time, you know. So I'm feeling pretty lucky. But I do think that a lot of that has to do with the vibe that Shawn creates. He creates like a really just comfortable vibe on set. And
it comes through on screen, man. You held your own with the best of them in there, and congrats on being a part of a great film, dude.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Hey, Shawn, congrats on a great movie, dude. One of my favorites of the year.
You know what? I appreciate it. And when I heard your name, I was like, I know Brandon. I like him. So thank you for your kind words, and thank you for sharing them, publicly as well.
Of course, man. Listen, a pleasure to see this film, pleasure to support it. I'm going to start with a fun question. I know you guys have been asked about what game you'd want to live in. I'm flipping it. What would be the worst game to have to spend your time in if you were Guy?
If I were Guy, wow. Man, I don't know. It feels like Call of Duty would be a terrible place for Guy. He's already a little bit abused, overlooked, and run over. But especially in a game, the point of which is violence, I feel like Guy would not survive 10 seconds.
Yeah, I probably wouldn't do very well. Call of Duty would be a tough one to navigate. I don't want to get into any specifics, but the last 45 minutes of this movie were some of the most fun I've had in movies in years. And there are parts of it that had me wondering, like, they're Disney things. And this was originally a Fox movie. How did those elements of the film come to be involved? What was like the timeline on that? Was that originally part of the plan?
No, and thank you for dancing around the spoilers. I appreciate it, man. So we had this movie. We were a Fox movie. While we were making it, Disney bought Fox. And suddenly Ryan and I were like, we're getting ready to shoot the third act of the movie. And the whole point is Ryan's character now has like greater abilities. And we're like, well, wouldn't it be cool if Disney let us play with one of those toys in its chest? So we literally wrote an email to like the kings of Disney. And we said, hey, could we maybe have one of these toys to play with in our little movie Free Guy? And to our astonishment, they said yes. And we're like, yes to which? And they said yes to all. And that led to the third act of Free Guy.
Man, I'm so happy that worked out because it was a ton of fun. I'd also love to hear about that commercial you guys shot, which was, you guys broke the internet when you put Ryan as Deadpool and Taika as Korg, this MCU Free Guy promo. Did you direct that? Did you have a hand in making that happen?
So that was a Ryan Reynolds marketing brainchild, of which he has many. Like, the thing about Ryan, as we all know, is great movie star, great actor, hell of a producer, but like a marketing savant as well. And he called me up. He's like, I have this crazy idea, Deadpool and Korg mocking our trailer. And I'm like, well, that would break the internet. That's incredibly genius. They'll never, ever say yes. And he calls me that night and he's like, they said yes. And I'm like, damn, they must really want Deadpool 3. And they also must really want to open Free Guy. And the truth is, when Ryan sent me the script for that, I knew it was solid gold. And I'm just thrilled we pulled it off.
It's genius marketing play there. I love it. It was so funny.
By the way, I'm noticing Thanos' glove next to you. Did you notice that there's another celebrity cameo who does a little dancing in the movie? Did you happen to notice that one of his dances that I made up was called the Thanos Snap?
That was my moment where I popped out of the chair like Leo in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. And I was like, oh, he did the thing. He did the thing.
Nice, man.
Speaking of dancing, dude, the needle drops in this movie are a ton of fun. You have some original covers. You have some great music that's used ironically for humor. I'd love to hear about the music selection and who was involved in that process. I know Ryan had a hand in some of it too.
Yeah, the truth is, as I said, Ryan, if you're lucky enough to direct Ryan Reynolds in a starring role, you get all these secret weapons in addition. And the truth is that Ryan has very quirky, weird, inspired musical tastes. So whether it was the Mariah Carey song or make your own kind of music by a deep cut from like the 50s or 60s, Ryan sometimes will go, is this a weird idea or should we try this song? And what I've learned with Ryan is don't say no, at least give it a try, because 8 out of 10 times it's going to be amazing and it's going to make it into the movie.
I love it. You also loaded the film with cameos, some that stand out, some you have to watch the credits to be sure what they were. Was this you guys kind of just texting friends and being like, hey, we're doing this fun bit. Like, do you want to come be a part of it? What, did anybody reach out to you guys? How did all those come to be?
It's exactly as you describe. It was some of the on-screen cameos were literally friends that we called or texted while we were making the movie. And then in post-production, Ryan, who produced the movie with me, we would sit there in my edit room. We're just on the couch, and we're noticing, wait, there's all these characters who are players in masks and sunglasses, why don't we populate the movie with another layer of celebrity cameos in the voice casting? And that was literally just us sitting there on a couch together, pooling our cell phone, contacts, and just going, oh, wait, what about that famous friend? And we would just call them and say, do you want to do this? And half of those, in fact, all of those celebrity cameos were done on iPhone voice memos that we put straight from the iPhone into the movie.
That is, dude, unbelievable. That's amazing. You guys dropped Dude out into one of the marketing promos, which was a great reveal in the film. It's a great thing. I've seen the reaction is super positive. It feels like the reverse of like what the first Captain America movie did, where they made Chris Evans skinny. You guys made Ryan Reynolds. Like, I would love to hear about technically, did you just like CGI him onto like a tattoo-less Dwayne Johnson?
It could have been that. That would have been a lot more expensive. But no, what we did was early on, we had this idea, Ryan and I, this character was not in the script, but we had this idea, what if Ryan has to fight Ryan? But what if it's an upgrade? What if it's Ryan 2.0? So taller, more muscular, more hairless, more streaks and tips, hair. So we literally cast a bodybuilder out of LA. And his body was just sick and massive, and he made Ryan look like a fragile little feather. And so we cast this dude, Aaron Reed, and Aaron did the whole movie with dots on his face. Those are tracking markers. Later then, we put Ryan in a motion capture device called the Egg. It all sounds very futuristic. We were like, Ryan, enter the Egg. And it's a machine where Ryan then did every line as Dude, looking at light in the motion capture Egg, and then we digitally cut and morphed Ryan's real face on Aaron's body.
Unbelievable, dude. I love that you guys went the extra mile with this because it comes off so well. And if it's cool with you, I have two other projects I want to ask you about really quickly that you're a part of. The first, of course, I'm sure you're getting Stranger Things questions all day. People have been speculating about the ending. Obviously, at some point, we're going to get there. I want to hear from you. Have you cracked the final destination, and do you know when Stranger Things will meet its final destination, its ending?
Yes and yes.
I respect it.
On the one hand, I've given you an answer, and yet I've revealed nothing.
I fully respect the dance you have to do around that, so I appreciate the yeses.
But it is yes and yes, Brandon. It is a yes and yes.
I dig it. And the other thing, listen, this is a movie that I feel like gets slept on. I love Real Steel. And there is word about Real Steel 2. You just worked with Ryan. Maybe you get Hugh back in there for Real Steel 2. Any chance you put them together?
Well, I'll say this. Hugh and I definitely are we've never stopped feeling the love for Real Steel, and it's almost like the volume has been increasing. Hugh and I were together literally last week talking about that, so I would never say never on that, a sequel for Real Steel. Additionally, I'm friends with Hugh, I'm friends with Ryan. I will get them together. Whether it's in Real Steel or another movie, I will direct those two amazing guys and dear friends in a movie together.
Shawn, man, it's an absolute pleasure to talk with you. I'm a huge fan of your work, and Free Guy, home run, man. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thanks, man. I appreciate it. Nice chatting with you.